Hey, MBA hopefuls. We are on air with MBA Waves, your weekly broadcast talking all things business and education. On the 124th episode, we're talking with Vanderbilt University Owen Graduate School of Management. We're going to learn about things you really need to know about Vanderbilt Owen, exclusive students' perspectives, and admission tips that will bring you success. I'm your host today, Krithika Srinivasan, joined by my co host, Bara Sapir. Hi, Bara.
Hi, great to see you.
Please don't forget to like and click subscribe for tons of free tips and to get up and close and personal with some of the world's top ranked business schools. We have three guests joining us today from Vanderbilt: Bailey McChesney, Director of MBA Admissions; Ivana Rodriguez, Incoming Associate in Asset and Wealth Management at Goldman Sachs and Forte Fellow; and Abhishek Singh, who is a first year MBA student. A big welcome to you all, and we're so excited to have you here. So, Bailey, we know that you had a new dean Dean Tom Steenberg. So, what's new and happening at Vanderbilt Owen?
Yeah. Honestly, we have a lot of new and exciting things here at Vanderbilt. I think a couple of the big things are, like you mentioned, we have a brand new dean. He started in July. His name is Tom Steenberg, and he comes to us from the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. We also are in a brand new building, which opened in January of 2023. Our building underwent a $55 million renovation and sits really in the heart of Nashville, right in Midtown. And then kind of the third thing is that we saw really exceptional employment outcomes from our MBA class of 2023. And really marked two school records with those outcomes. First, the largest percentage of students to receive a full-time offer at graduation. And then second, the highest average starting base salary of any graduating class. So obviously that's really, really exciting because we all root and cheer for our students. And so we have a lot of momentum here at Vanderbilt Business and really looking forward to seeing what's next.
Neat. That's a nice recap of things that are going on. There's a lot of new things. So
Yeah.
A lot of new initiatives. So congratulations. When we think about Vanderbilt Owen, we think about healthcare, we think about Nashville and small, cozy classes that are focused on the personal. So what are some of the standout unique features of Vanderbilt Owen MBA? Anyone can jump in.
Yeah, I can kind of start and then let others jump in. So I think the first is that it's a really highly personalized program. So our mission is to provide world-class business education on a personal scale. And that customization really is seen in the fabric of everything that we do. So from, the curriculum to the leadership development program, that idea of a highly personalized program is, really one of the things that kind of stands out and makes us unique.
Neat. Are there some other, Abhishek, do you want to?
Yeah, just to add on Bailey's point, one thing that drew me towards Vanderbilt is the personal approach to an MBA. And to give you an example, I find that the hard skill sets are much tougher to acquire because, let's say, the hard skill sets are easier to acquire than the soft skills. For example, formulas of finance and accounting are same for everybody, right? But what it means to be a leader is different for different one. And Vanderbilt is completely aware of this fact, and that drives the leadership development programming that Bailey alluded to. So we have in-house LDB programming where you have 4 coaches and you meet with them as much as you want or as few times as you want. And you really work towards working out your personal area of improvements. For example, somebody might want to work towards coming across as more assertive. Somebody might want to work towards their public speaking skills. So that's the in-house personalized leadership development programming. We also have executive programming where we meet with coaches online, and these coaches have had experience of working with C-suite executives, and now we have access to their expertise to really hone the idea of leader that we want to become after our MBA.
Interesting. So, and then I would imagine that the coaches and the mentoring that you have more informal opportunities to also like flex those new skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And the matching with these coaches are very customized. So you are being asked, what are your expectations from a mentor? What background do you want your coaches to have expertise in? And that's how you're matched with these mentors, and you develop a deeper and genuine connection with them.
That's really interesting. I don't know that we've heard that paradigm exists in that way. So it's super interesting that you have that. Ivana, did you want to share?
Yeah, I would say my coach and I really have a lot in common. I think like even her family member went to where I went to undergrad, and we even said we'd love to get coffee when I'm back in New York. So I think the matching process is really tried and true. Apart from there, I would say that Owen is just a great community. When we work together, we plan, what are we doing for projects? What are we doing in class? How are we getting together outside of class? So it is that tight-knit community, but it really goes beyond that. And we have other coaching programs for international students. So I have two buddies that are from Brazil, and I love getting coffee with them and catching up with them, and just really making sure that they're getting acclimated, especially in the beginning of the school year, just making sure that all of those kind of different changes culturally are going well. And apart from that, we have coffee chats with second years. So any industry you're interested in. I just got an email today from a first year that's interviewing for the firm that I'll be joining. And they asked me, hey, I'm interviewing this week. Do you have any tips for me? I'm a little nervous. How can I really execute this interview well? So I would say that we are a community that wants to help each other, whether we're applying for the same jobs, whether we're in the same year or not. It is a tight-knit community that thrives on helping one another. So I always like to say that, because when you think of top business schools, you think that there's this very stressful feeling in the air. But when you go to class and you see smiling faces and you like getting to know your classmates, it's a really great feeling.
That does sound great. I'm curious about this coaching matching process. Can someone talk a little more about that? Like, is there something coming from Vanderbilt side also, or is it completely student driven?
So Vanderbilt, before we get here full time, we do this thing called the Hogan assessment. It basically asks you a series of questions that helps you understand your leadership style and understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are in regular conditions, but also in conditions of high stress. So we all act differently, right? When we're relaxed versus when we're stressed. And it asks you these different questions in this assessment. And that's a part of kind of the process. Once you accept that you're going to be a student, that's one of your assignments before you arrive. And you do this round table with a small group of students and the leadership development kind of team here on campus. And then you decide, do you want to have an individualized coaching? Do you want to do team coaching? But you do that debrief of the Hogan assessment. And this is actually what your coach sees. And before you begin your coaching process, it's a very individualized analysis that's run through the assessment. But then the debrief is given to kind of say, okay, what does this actually mean? What kind of leader am I? Because we might think we are a certain way, but then we might be a different way under times of stress or what have you. So it's a really tailored program, and it's nice because it helps you decide if you feel more comfortable in a group setting, if you like having your peers with you, or if you want just a one-on-one session. That's totally up to you. And it's actually available both years. So I did it last year, and I'm also doing it this year. I met with my coach during the Thanksgiving break. So that was really nice to just catch up with her and fill her in on all year two has to offer. So you can opt to keep the same coach. You can change coaches. I really get along with mine, so I decided to stay with the same coach. But it's really great, and it's all based off of the Hogan assessment, and it kind of just grows from there.
It sounds like an amazing incubator inside of like another program. Like there's all this growth that's happening to make you all great leaders, but really drawing from your strengths and in a way that's intimate and profound. I mean, it sounds kudos. It sounds awesome, doesn't it? Krithika, don't you want one of those? I want to take the Hogan assessment.
So yes, the other thing I'll add is that it's through the leadership development program, which is housed here at Owen, and they're very intentional about modeling it after what you would see in the business space. And so the executive coaches that the students have talked about, these are professional executive coaches. So their other clients are C-suite executives. So our students get access to these coaches as a student that really helps them, develop, what does it look like to be a leader, both out of the workplace and inside the workplace, and then really gives students the opportunity to practice those skills in a very safe space before they enter their post-MBA careers.
As an executive coach, I can vouch for the fact that the Hogan assessment is one of the top ones and the gold standard. So, and it's really, really great that people are getting this real world experience right at the beginning, just before they join, so that they can plan their path in the MBA program and the journey well. So, and I know Ivana alluded to it a little bit about the tight knit community and how you could reach out to the second years and more. So we know that for every MBA program, it's going to be about how you deliver the nuts and bolts of the MBA, and a lot of it comes down to the culture. So, can you guys tell us more about the culture at Vanderbilt?
I can start off. Like everybody already alluded to, the culture here is very collaborative. It is a very tight-knit community. I'm an international student here. I've traveled. I've basically jumped time zones and continents to be here. And when I was deciding to move to another country, to the US, for my MBA, my first priority was I want to go to a school where I'm sure that I'll be taken care of, where I knew that I was not going to be lost in a crowd. And because of the personal scale of MBA at Vanderbilt, I knew that this is going to be my school. This is where I'm going to fit, because all my career coaches, my LDP coaches, my professors, my peer coach, they know me personally. They keep track of my progress, and they're well aware of my journey. So it's that personal connect, or it's that access to having that deep connection. It is what makes the culture of Vanderbilt MBA for me. And one more thing that I love most about my program here is, and I don't know how Bailey and her team the admission team does it, but they not only recruit students with diverse work experience, but they also recruit students with diverse interest outside of the work. So, with the Owen community, you not just have a network of this larger Vanderbilt MBA community, but you also find people, a closure knit of people that you can call your own. So having those people with diverse interest makes it really easier to make friends, especially for someone like me who is in a different in a completely unfamiliar country, right? So these are some of the aspects of the Vanderbilt MBA that really makes what the culture here is, so collaborative and tight knit.
Abhishek, can you share something that was a unique interest that you didn't know about beforehand?
Sure. So I love poetry, and I didn't know, back in India, I didn't know, I didn't have any friends who loved poetry as much as I did. This was a management communication class, right? And it was the first day of our class, and we had to give an impromptu speech about our passion. So I obviously talked about poetry. I even mentioned a Vietnamese writer called Ocean Vuong. I love his work. And somebody in that class, they also loved Ocean Vuong as much as I did. And now we are best friends. And I'm going to be spending a Christmas at their place. So that's what I mean when I say that you have people not only with diverse work experience but also varied interests. So you're gonna find a close knit of people in addition to the larger network of MBA candidates.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So Abhishek, you just said that competitive but not cutthroat.
Right.
That's a
Right.
tagline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gave us a brilliant example of it.
Yeah.
So Ivana, what's your experience like?
I would say very similar. And I think a great image is we're this really small group of, it's not a huge program, but we do have a lot of countries represented, a lot of backgrounds represented. And I always say, if you're at Owen, you're passionate about pursuing your career, but you also have passions outside of that, right? So Abhishek hit the nail on the head there, where we all have interests outside of what we study. I was in the performing arts my whole life prior to business school. So the music scene here in Nashville is perfect. And my friends and I go to writers' rounds and we listen to different local musicians often. And it's really just a great way to see all of the talent in the city. But I would say in and outside of the classroom, it's really evident that our community sticks together. We have events at the school as well for international students to celebrate holidays. So Thanksgiving, we just had an event on campus as well. Apart from that, I would say that we're constantly trying to organize events. So we have every Thursday, we have an event to celebrate the week being over, and different clubs and organizations host them. So for example, in September, the Latin Business Association, I'm on the board, we held an event for Closing Bell, where we had live Brazilian performers to do capoeira. We catered food from a local Mexican restaurant as well. We had Latin music. It was really just a celebration of different cultures. We also had pastries from a Brazilian bakery. So it's just everyone's excited to celebrate each other, whether it be wins in the classroom, wins for jobs, or just celebrating our differences. I think that that's really special about our community. Apart from that, when it comes to group projects, no one loves the idea of a group project, but we really enjoy them and getting together and working on them together. So later today, I'll have a group project meeting and we'll walk through on how we're going to work through our final project together. But at the end of the day, we've already known each other for the past year. So it's fun to get on the phone and talk to people and strategize on how we're going to solve complex problems together. And we do have different, understandings of things or backgrounds or ways that we would solve problems, but we learn how to debate in ways that challenge each other to solve those problems, but in a way that celebrates each other's differences and, learn to understand how different we are, but also celebrate those differences. So our community is really strong, and it's something that I'm proud of every day.
That sounds great. Bailey, did you want to jump in and say anything from the other side about
No,
this?
I think they really and captured the program as a whole. I think, the small class size really allows people to develop really meaningful relationships, and we do celebrate each other, and I think that's one of the hallmarks of the program.
That sounds great. Well, I have to say, you're definitely selling Nashville for sure too. My curiosity is piqued because I haven't spent. I feel like I've been through there, but I haven't spent much time. But it's one of those places that I know I can't have like anything else going on because there's that music that you were talking about, Ivana, right? The music scene is amazing. What were your first impressions, especially Abhishek, because you're from? I'm not sure where you're from. Maybe.
Yeah.
India?
So I am from India, and my first impression of Nashville was that I could not believe how green it is. Nashville is a big city. It is a thriving city. I didn't know that it's going to be so green, and I love greenery and trees. So it was reassuring. Okay, yeah, I have made the best decision. Apart from that, obviously the music scene here is fantastic. It's obviously the music city, and in my 3 months here, I've been able to see a lot of my favorite artists. I went to see Lana Del Rey live. Could not believe it. I also went to see Lady Antebellum with Ivana. She was there, and my apartment is just 15 minutes walk from the Centennial Park. It is probably the most beautiful park among the many other parks in Nashville. So, the greenery, the music scene are some of the things that really got me much more in love with Nashville, and I love exploring it every day here.
How about food? Or like, is there anything that's like Nashville specific that students know about that might not be in, Fodor's guide or something?
I'm gonna have to say hot chicken, but is that the staple here, Ivana? You have to help me here.
Yeah, I would say when I have people in town, I do hot chicken and barbecue. It is the best. The comfort food is, just amazing here. It's so excellent, but also just going back to the greenery aspect that Abhishek said, it is amazing the type of hiking that you have over here, the greenery, but also the farmland. So any farm to table type restaurants, any sort of farmer's market you can get to. I love going to the farmer's market and buying local produce and just cooking. I also love to cook, but I would say that the quality of life here is amazing. I'm also a foodie, so I worked in New York before this, and I'm going back to New York, but there's a huge assortment of restaurants here from all different types of genres and nationalities and backgrounds, but the options to choose from are really great. And there's, new restaurants here every other day. So my list continues to grow. Even as I check it off, I continue to get more and more restaurants that I want to try.
Sounds great.
So looks like you've sold us off on Nashville. So Bailey, this is specifically for you. So how do people get there? So being such a small class, what do you specifically look for?
Yeah, I think ultimately we're looking for potential. So that's, one of the things that we really focus on in the recruiting and admissions process. One thing that, we love about our recruiting and admissions process is that personal scale really starts at day one. So every candidate is assigned a recruiting manager, and that recruiting manager works with a candidate all the way throughout the process. So there are members of our team that are there to support and guide candidates as they navigate the application process and their decision about what this looks like for them. We talk a lot in sessions about how applicants are the most important component of the application. And so, sometimes I think when you hear the word application and you look at all of the application requirements, it's easy to forget that the application is really meant to center around you. The candidate is the most important component. So, really being able to showcase skills, experience, what's led you to the decision to get an MBA is important. But ultimately, we're looking for individuals with potential and who can contribute to the community, both in and out of the classroom.
And can you also tell us a little bit more about the video response and how someone can give a good video response, because that's so unique to your school as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of times the video response can provide some anxiety for students, but ultimately it's really just an opportunity for a candidate to highlight themselves. So the questions that we have are really designed to be easy to answer. So an example of a question might be if you were going to host a dinner party, what would you cook? So definitely things that are able to kind of really show a candidate. If I were going to give tips on the video response, I would first say, to prepare if you can. So, trying to record yourself, beforehand, I think is sometimes helpful to see, make sure you're confident with that you're putting your best foot forward. We also give candidates 30 seconds to prepare before the response. So, utilizing that 30 seconds to, figure out how to structure the response and, what the content a candidate would want to get across in the video statement. And then I think, ultimately just relaxing and being yourself. Obviously the questions are designed to be easy to answer. We want to get to know candidates. And so, just kind of like taking a deep breath and, really being themselves.
Do either of you want to talk about your experience with the video piece of it? Abhishek or Ivana?
I could just say that it is very nerve-wracking, but I will say, because I'm a people person, right? So I would much rather like speak in front of a big crowd than stare into a computer screen. I don't know what it is. My palms start to sweat, but it's normal, right? I mean, you're being interviewed. An interview is never easy. So I would just say that just be yourself and try to let your personality shine through the webcam. We actually have a public speaking class that teaches us how to present as well on Zoom. So we have a presentation on Zoom. It's an in-person class, but we also do a presentation on Zoom to practice this. And I would say a lot of employers are moving towards this and aren't really bringing people into the office for interviews. So I would say it's great practice for getting back to work after the MBA. So it's not fun for anybody, but it's a good chance to just realize that no one is perfect and you just have to try to be expressive, be yourself, and be genuine. Ultimately, that's what's important, is showing that you're excited and that you have a personality and you're not just saying what you think the admissions team wants to hear or what, someone else wants to hear. So
I think it's super interesting that one of the questions has to do with, if you're having a dinner party, what you're going to make. I think that that's it could say so much, right? Because, you were mentioning farm to table and like the farmers markets, but someone else could be like, I'm going to go pick it up. I'm getting it, food to go because I'm going to do this other thing, right? I mean, it's really interesting and great that everyone has 30 seconds to think about.
Bara, I'm going to be making memories.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, and I will say on our platform, they get multiple attempts too. So candidates get 30 seconds to prepare, 90 seconds to answer the question. And then if they don't like their first response, they get a new question, but they can try it again 2 times. So they get 3 times to try. So we try to give candidates, as much flexibility to kind of, put their best foot forward as we can.
Are they speaking to somebody when they do this, or is it just recorded?
So for the video essay, it's just recorded, but we do offer our interviews in a virtual format, and they're one-on-one interviews.
Got it. So the world that I come from is standardized testing. And I know that you accept the GRE, the GMAT, and the executive assessment. And I also know that you're one of the business schools that also offers a waiver. So with all of the changes that are happening with the tests, I'm super curious if there's any trends that you're seeing with applicants in regards to testing, especially, they just rolled out the GRE, but the GMAT focus is that overlap right now.
Yeah. So we do accept we require a standardized test or an approved test waiver. We also accept the GMAT focus. So we accept both versions of the GMAT, the GRE, and the executive assessment, or we have a test waiver approval process. I think, our goal is to make the application as accessible as possible. And we do that in lots of ways. So we have our recruiting managers that work with candidates throughout the process. We have virtual interviews. We did an open interview period this year. And the test waiver approval process is another reason why, how we make our process accessible. As far as trends, we have candidates take advantage of every test or waiver process that we offer. So, within the process, candidates are either choosing to take a test or choosing to do a waiver. It will be really interesting to see what happens with trends in testing now that the GRE and the GMAT have shorter versions, making the tests themselves more accessible. But for us, we see candidates, choose to do any of the options that we provide, and we try to provide as many options as we can to make the process accessible.
That makes sense. My dog is going berserk, so I'm going to just get this question really quickly between barks and exclamations by him. But can you talk a little bit about the academics for a moment? I know that Vanderbilt Owen has scored high for teaching excellence and faculty accessibility. So if you could talk about that, even favorite stories about the best teaching moments or things that you've heard. Bailey, you're on here now. So, I'm on here now. So if any of you can talk about the academics, that would be great. And some of the highlights.
Yeah, sure. I think the personal.
Sorry, I think we just,
we
have lost connection. So Ivana, do you want to pitch in?
I can talk a little bit about this. So we have really best-in-class professors here at the university. Our program is special in the fact that all of our professors have industry experience. So I would say that it's really cool to hear their stories from the real world, even though academia is also the real world, but just understanding their backgrounds, how they base their research off of their work in prior roles, and what they are looking forward to introducing into their curriculums going forward. So I'll bring in an example from marketing. I'm a TA for Kelly Goldsmith, so I loved her class last year, and I get to sit in and enjoy it again this year. But I really like Kelly's examples from working at Urban Decay, and she integrates her prior experiences, but also her day-to-day consulting experiences live, even now, into her curriculum. So it's not just a textbook example. The case studies that we do are really cool. So we do a case study on Liquid Death, the water company, and how they're disruptive marketing. So it's really interesting to see how brands you see every day are doing things for a reason. And it's not just, one person thinking it's a good idea, and understanding why the professors find these examples to be important as well, based off of their experiences. So I really like that class because it's upbeat. Even though it is a lecture style, it's very participative, which is great because you can hear about the students' experience in the room as well. So even though there might be, there might be a certain population of students that did marking prior to this, there's a lot of relevant experience in the room at all times. So I would say that most and all professors encourage participation, and on top of their examples, it's just really fun and keeps the conversation going.
Similar to Ivana, I have one of my favorite moments from my first year. So I got to play an astronaut in a class. So we have a class called Leading Teams and Organizations, which is a case-driven class by Professor Tim Voges. So we were doing a case where there were two groups of people who were struggling to come to an agreement. And these two groups of people were, the first group had 3 astronauts, and then the other group was comprised of close to 20 people, which formed the control group. Now, I was chosen to play one of the astronauts. I was tasked to play an arrogant, egoistic, loud astronaut. And we were enacting these conversations inside the class, and disagreeing with each other, and then finally coming to an agreement. So this was like a big Bollywood hero acting moment for me, in addition to learning the values of leading teams and organization. And so that tells you how fun the classes at Vanderbilt are, the marketing classes, LTO classes especially, and as well as the other classes as well.
Yes, I think these are the things that you guys will be talking in 10 years from now. You still remember, maybe not the exact thing that you remembered. Yeah. Bailey, do you want to add something?
I think those are great examples. The only thing I'll add is that we have a very small student to faculty ratio. And so, the classes are small intentionally. They're, built for students to be able to interact with each other and to have, really meaningful conversations. And so I think that's kind of unique. We were rated number 2 for best professors by Princeton Review. And so to have such a small class size with such phenomenal professors is really unique, to have that accessibility to the professors.
And probably that's one of the main reasons and contributors to the highest placement rates. Congrats. You also have like amazing starting salaries and opportunities in recent times. So what are some of the main industries that Vanderbilt MBA grads are specializing in?
Yeah, I can take the first pass, and then I'll let the students kind of maybe talk about their experience too. But I think, students have varied interest in our program, and obviously, we're really excited about the success of the professional opportunities that our students have had. We love to see students be successful professionally post MBA. About a third of the class typically goes into consulting. So last year it was 40%, and companies like Deloitte, PwC, EY, McKinsey, and BCG were top employers for Vanderbilt. About 20% went into finance, so either financial services or corporate finance. And then other things, we're really known for our human and organizational performance program, really that people side of business. And then obviously Nashville is a massive healthcare industry, and really we're known for our healthcare MBA. And so those are kind of like the four big ones. But, I would say, students have varied interest, and the customizable curriculum really allows students to kind of build the program based on their skills, their goals. So students can have multiple concentrations, and so they're not, kind of forced into one thing. So, those are kind of the top, but we do have a lot of students with varied interest as well.
I've got a question for the students in the room. I'm curious how you interact with the larger Vanderbilt community, or if you do.
I would say typically Owen is pretty much, I would say we pretty much silo ourselves, but at the end of the day, we can take classes in any other building on campus. So there is a difference. So our classes are in the mod schedules, in the modules. So we switch classes every 8 weeks, but we can choose to take a semester-based class. So I know friends that have taken languages in different schools on campus. I have friends that have taken classes in the law school. So I would say that that's a really major advantage. You can really tailor your curriculum as long as it doesn't interfere with your Owen courses, but it's very flexible. So should you be interested in taking a class somewhere else, that's a great option. I know that we also have events on campus that we can attend. So we can go to the sporting events, which is really fun, and we interact with that pretty regularly. And then as well, we have Gwyneth Paltrow coming to speak on campus on Friday, which I know I will be going to that. And that's at that's in a different building, run through a different program, but a professor that we have in our program is speaking with her. So I would say that we are able to interact with the university as much as we would like. And we actually have dual degree programs. So the MD MBA or the JD MBA that kind of acts as a gateway for us to make friends in those different programs, because we have colleagues in our program that are in the different schools and are doing different kind of dual degree programs as well. So as much or as little as we would like, but the door is open, and it's a great opportunity to meet a ton of different people with different interests.
Yeah, and something to add to Ivana's point is we have many different programming at the larger Vanderbilt, which encourages students from Owen to collaborate with other students. For example, we have Wandry. Now in Wandry, students from undergrad, from MBA, from other master's programs, they come in and they work towards solving a particular business case that all these parties are interested in. And also, if there is a particular affinity group in Owen, there is a high chance that that particular affinity group is also exists in the larger Vanderbilt. I know that we have Out and Allied club in Vanderbilt for queer MBAs. Now, recently they partnered with other similar pride groups in other graduate schools and undergrad colleges, and they organize a networking event where the MBAs could network with people from different programs. So we do have these many structured programming as well, where students at Owen have the ability or have the access to the larger Vanderbilt resources.
I love the visit to the Wondery. I remember that, such a beautiful, lovely place for multidisciplinary work. So
I heard Gwyneth Paltrow was coming. I came as fast as I could.
So we have
seriously, right?
I had a little conflict, but between Vanderbilt and Gwyneth, I'm here.
Yeah, it is great because students, so Vanderbilt doesn't have an undergraduate business major. They have an undergraduate business minor. So all of the courses that are within the Owen building are for professional students. So, that's really nice to have that. But all of the resources for Vanderbilt are available for all Owen students. And so, the Wondery was talked about. We also house an interdisciplinary program within our walls called the Turner Family Center for Social Ventures. So there are pieces where we're interconnected, and Vanderbilt has a lot of really, really fun things to take advantage of. So Gwyneth Paltrow being one of them.
All right, so Eric is going to ask the last question.
Just here in time for one more question. So, we always hear rave reviews about the close-knit alumni network. What are your alumni doing these days, and what kind of services exist for them at Vanderbilt Owen?
Yeah, I can start, and then if y'all want to talk about how you've maybe engaged with alumni. So I would say, only about 30-ish% of each class kind of stays within the South. So we have alumni all over the country and the world. So the top 4 metro cities where students went last year were Nashville, New York, Chicago, and Dallas. And so that really lends itself to having a wide and varied alumni base. If I could describe the alumni base in one word, it would be engaged. I think because we really are intentional about facilitating a very personalized experience while students are here, that plays out as students become alumni. They're still, very connected to the school. And then we also offer lifetime career services. So within our career management center, we have alumni career services. And so, if at any point down the road, alumni decide they want to make a transition or want some more career support, then that's available. And then Ivana talked a little bit about Closing Bell earlier, but our kind of like flagship Thursday night program with lots of programming, but we oftentimes take that on the road really all across the world. So the development and alumni relations team will host Closing Bells in cities all over the country and all over the world. And so I think, the engagement of the alumni is really remarkable. A couple of my colleagues just got back from South Korea and Japan, and they said that they did a session for prospective students on a Saturday night in Tokyo, and 6 alums came and literally stayed for hours just to engage with candidates. And so, that's really remarkable for alums to spend that much time with individuals who are really at the very beginning stages of just applying to the program. And so I think, engaged would be how I would describe them. And I think that close-knit community really, transcends kind of outside of the student experience.
I'll piggyback off of that with my experiences. So I would say that our career management services really partner a lot with our alumni. So we have events on campus starting from, maybe the second week on campus where we have different firms coming in and doing info sessions and explaining what kind of internships and jobs they have available. But typically those programmings are led by alumni, and that really means a lot because they can, ask us about the new dean. They'll be interested in the classes. They'll be talking to us about how the curriculum has changed, what our favorite classes right now. So it is a really great feeling to see leaders at these top firms coming from where we are and still being interested in giving back. And I would say that a big part of my success at getting my internship and full-time offer was by connecting with alumni. So I went to an event on campus that was led by alumni, and it kind of just picked off from there. And it really just spiraled in a really positive direction. And I had a lot of different talks with different alumni at the firm and in the teams. And I think it's just, we have a lot in common and we want to help each other, and it's all about community. So it's not a chore for them, but they enjoy helping us and they want to make sure that we get placed and are prepared to succeed. So I would say that they're pivotal in the current success of our students as well. And they enjoy giving back not only to on-campus events, but virtual events and prepping for interviews and what have you. So I would say that that's really special about our program as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's like a pay it backward kind of situation. Like they had that benefit from the alumni before, and now you get to benefit from their experiences and their engagement. It's cool. Sorry, you're going to say, cut you, Abby.
No, I was just gonna echo what Ivana said. Since I'm in that phase where I'm looking for an internship, I'm just gonna say that the alumni at Vanderbilt are heavily involved in the recruiting. I've reached out to them for coffee chats, and 100% of the alumni who have reached out to, they have returned back, and they have even extended our 30 minutes call to 45 minutes, and even an hour or so. And they are genuinely interested in seeing you succeed. They genuinely want you to get the job you want. And they even offer you, let's say, to case prep with you, to even give you interview tips, and even I've been so fortunate that I've built this connection with the alumni who have even offered to review my resume, and that I don't think that happens often. So that tells you the genuine involvement of alumni in the success of current students.
Fantastic. I mean, that's reassuring to anyone applying to the school or thinking about it. So it's good to know.
Yeah. And that's all we had for today, folks. If you're looking for a cozy, customized, close-knit, collaborative, engaged community that celebrates both differences and wins, and of course country music, Vanderbilt Owen has so much to offer. And you would also get to see Gwyneth Paltrow and Lana Del Rey, so why not? So a big thanks to Bailey, Ivana, and Abhishek for sharing your insights today. And good luck to Ivana and Abhishek as you move along in your MBA journey. Please don't forget to click the like button if you enjoyed today's episode, and be sure to click subscribe for tons of free tips and to get up and close and personal with the world's top ranked business schools. So until we see you next week at the same time, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.